Now we will discuss in this lecture the last coat of the eyeball, the last layer of the eyeball, which is called sensory layer. And if I say I am talking about the sensory layer, it means I am talking about the most sensitive part of the eyeball, and the most sensitive part of the eyeball is retina. The most beautiful and the most sensitive, you can say, structure of the eyeball is called retina. If I can give you the example, the retina is like the beautiful wife. Like if you have a beautiful wife, then it means the beauty is directly proportional to the sensitivity. If you have a beautiful wife, then it means, trust me, she would be more sensitive as compared to the other girls, right? So the retina is the most sensitive part of the eyeball, right? So if we discuss it on the figure, this is an eyeball. We have discussed already about the cornea, about the iris, about the ciliary body, about the choroid, and about the sclera, the whitish of the eyeball. Now we will discuss about, so this is cornea, and if I can make here abruptly, this is choroid, the ciliary body, the iris, the crystalline lens, and now this is sclera, the choroid. These are all structures. This is uveal tract in the reddish one. This is crystalline lens, and now we are talking about the retina. The retina is, as I can say, that this is the most sensitive part of the eyeball, right? So the retina have 10 different layers, and about these layers we will discuss in our brief lecture, in our precise lecture regarding the retina. Now, in this lecture, we have a brief introduction, we have a short introduction about our sensory layer, which is retina. The retina have two major layers, two major further layers, and these layers are, the first layer is retinal pigmented epithelium, and the second one is neurosensory retina. So we have discussed that the retina has two different layers, two major layers. The first one is the retinal pigmented epithelium, and the second one is the neurosensory retina. So underneath this choroidal layer, the first structure is sclera, the blackish one, but in the real life the sclera is the whitish one, right? So this is sclera. This red color is choroid, and underneath the choroid there is a structure of, there is a layer of, you can say, the retinal pigmented epithelium, which is the layer of the retina, right? So it is retinal pigmented epithelium. So it has some extent of the vascularity and some extent of the pigmentation as well. So this retinal pigmented epithelium has vascularity, and the vascularity is actually coming from the bedding of the choroid, right? So the retina do not have excess of the vascularity, right? So the limited nutrition about of the retina is coming from the choroidal bedding, from the choroid, right? The choroid is penetrating the blood vessels, the limited blood vessels or limited nutrients or nourishments is actually diffusing from the choroid towards the retinal pigmented epithelium, right? And after the retinal pigmented epithelium, there is another layer of the eyeball, of the retina, which is the neurosensory retina. So we have different layers. The first layer is called, which is the fibrous layer, is called sclera. Then the vascular layer or nutritive layer or uveal tract, that is called choroid, and underneath the choroid, or to further proceed, then the retina has come. The first layer of the retina is retinal pigmented epithelium. If we can zoom here, If you can zoom here, again I'm telling you, this one, the blackish one is sclera, the whitish of the color. The red one, which I mentioned, the red color is called choroid, and after the choroid, the blue marker is pointing to the retinal pigmented epithelium, and then the green color is presenting to the neurosensory retina. Right? Now, if you talk about the ciliary body, yes, the retinal pigmented epithelium, which is in the blue color, is moving further and is wrapping, as you can see, the posterior surface of the ciliary body and the iris as well. So the point is, the retinal pigmented epithelium, which is the layer of the retina, which is the first layer of the retina, you can say, is covering the posterior surface of the ciliary body and posterior surface of the iris as well, from both of the sides, from all around of the eyeball. Now the neurosensory retina is also moved further and wrapping the posterior surface of the ciliary body and the iris as well. As you can see, if you can zoom here over this point, you can see the bluish marker, which is the retinal pigmented epithelium, is moving all around from the eyeball and moving towards the anterior side of the eyeball. So this blue marker, this retinal pigmented epithelium, is moving further, and then it's moving across at the posterior surface of the ciliary body. As now this retinal pigmented epithelium is also wrapping around the posterior surface of the ciliary body and iris as well. So as the same case, the neurosensory retina, which is the second major layer of the retina, is also covering the posterior surface, as you can see, the posterior surface of the ciliary body and the posterior surface of the iris as well. This is anterior surface of the iris. This is anterior surface of the iris. This is anterior surface of the ciliary body. This is anterior surface of the ciliary body. But these retinal pigmented epithelium and the neurosensory retina, both of these layers are wrapping the posterior surface of the ciliary body and posterior surface of the iris as well. So we can say the epithelium of the ciliary body is double epithelial layers, because both of the layers of the retina, which is retinal pigmented epithelium and neurosensory retina, are wrapping around the posterior surface or moving around the posterior surface of the ciliary body and the iris. But the most important point here, which I am mentioning, is we will look at the ora serrata, right? Now, the point where the ciliary body is attaching with or joining with the choroid, right?
Like
the point where the ciliary body and the choroid are attaching with or junctioning with or meeting with, right? The same retinal pigmented epithelium is moving further toward the ciliary body and the iris, but the neurosensory retina, which contains the specific photoreceptor cells. The photoreceptor cells, as you know, that there are two types of photoreceptor cells in the retina which are most sensitive against the light. If the light hits that photoreceptor cells, they will initiate a action potential, which I discuss later. The photoreceptor cells are rods and cones. These are two photoreceptor cells. The rods are very helpful in the dim light. If we want to see a little bit clearer in the darkness, the rods, which are photoreceptor cells of the retina, which are in excess amount at the periphery of the retina, the rods would be more helpful in the dark situations, right? And the cones are the photoreceptor cells which are most helpful in the daylight situations, like if we want to differentiate regarding the different colors. So in that case, the cones are most helpful. If I have different colors in my hand, you see this is red color, this is green, this is black, and this is blue one. You can differentiate all these colors in my hand, in my markers in my hand. So the photoreceptor cells which are helpful in differentiating in these colors are cones. So on the sensitive layer of the retina, like exactly I'm talking about the neurosensory retina. On the neurosensory retina, there are photoreceptor cells like rods and cones, and these are actually the cells, the photoreceptor cells, which convert the electromagnetic light into the action potential. And these action potential actually move towards the optic nerve, and this optic nerve carries this action potential towards the central nervous system, towards the visual cortex. Alright, now the point I want to explain is all these area of the neurosensory retina posterior to the point where choroid is terminating, right? At here, where choroid is converting into ciliary body. Here, there is a finger-like projections, and these finger-like projections is called ora serrata, like this. This is temporal view of the eyeball. If I make the frontal view like this, if the eyeball is like this is you can say this is eyeball, right? This is eyeball, and the ora serrata is, you can see this is all the retina. This is all retina. This is the outer part is sclera. Then underneath the sclera there is choroid, and posterior to the choroid, underneath the choroid there is you can say retinal pigmented epithelium, and underneath the retinal pigmented epithelium there is neurosensory retina. So underneath these structures there is neurosensory retina, and the neurosensory retina contains rods and cones, and the rods and cones are moving from here towards the anterior surface of the eyeball. And when these neurosensory retina is moving proceeding against the you can say the anterior part of the eyeball, it terminates the point where choroid is meeting with the ciliary body, right? So here, the point where choroid and ciliary body are meeting to each other, here are the finger-like projections all around the eyeball. There are finger-like projections, and these finger-like projections structure is called ora serrata. And after this ora serrata, after this point of the ora serrata, the neurosensory retina, which is moving towards the posterior surface of the ciliary body and the iris, have lost all of their photoreceptor cells. So I can say before the ora serrata, posterior to the ora serrata, the neurosensory retina contains highly photoreceptor cells, but anterior to the ora serrata, the neurosensory retina do not have any photoreceptor cells or rods and cones. So this portion which is anterior to the ora serrata, this portion of the retina is non-retinal part of these structures, right? So I think it's making sense. Now we have discussed about the ora serrata as well, right? This is all about the neurosensory retina and the retinal pigmented epithelium. The retina, as you have already know, the retina is the most sensitive part of the eyeball, and retinal pigmented epithelium and the neurosensory retina. Already the retina has 10 different layers, I agree, but we will discuss in the detailed lecture of the retina. But now in this introduction, we just discussed the retinal pigmented epithelium and the neurosensory retina, right? Now, so as I said, the retina is most sensitive part. So all this protection, as I have discussed earlier, that the sclera is most protective layer, right? This is a fibrous layer and the protective layer as well. So all the protection of sclera, all the protection of the vascular layer like choroid, ciliary body, and the iris, this protection, this nutritive layer and this protective layer are just for the protection of the retina, because retina, in the whole eyeball, the retina is the most beautiful thing in the eye. So we need extra protection, we need extra care for the beautiful thing, because if we have any beautiful thing in our life, we have to protect it. So this is a phenomenon of the nature that this beautiful retina, this sensitive retina, has the protection of the sclera and underneath the choroid. The sclera is for the protection, and the vascular layer is for the nourishment or food for the retina. Hope it making sense. In the next lecture, inshallah, we will discuss the embryology of the eyeball. Thank you.